I would say the overwhelming answer for us is like God has a plan. It's so difficult in the situation we're in right now because we don't necessarily know what the plan is, but we rest assured on like the really hard nights. And there's been some really hard nights. We've sat there and we've used prayer, and our relationship has come leaps and bounds. We've only been married for a year, and it's amazing, like in this year, how far we've grown. And we've told each other, if we can get through this, we can truly get through anything.
Yeah.
And so that's what we've really, really fallen back on, is just our faith and the plan. And we may never know the plan, but all this happened for a reason, whether it was to save others or to just kind of stand in front. But we rest assured in that. It gives us a lot of peace, a peace that maybe we don't even really understand, but it's an overwhelming peace that we have.
Yeah, a peace that doesn't make sense in the situation. I think I want to be really transparent that there's a lot of hard nights, and especially as a caregiver to someone I love so dearly, like there are nights where I just am like, I just would do anything to take it away or take it for him, you know. And so I've struggled, no question about it. There's been a lot of struggle and a lot of suffering and a lot of pain that we both experience in our own ways. And there have been a lot of nights where I just feel lost and I fall back on my faith at that point, and I just feel God like picking me up in those moments and just being like, focus on me. Like, you're in this storm, but you know, I will like, don't lose sight of me. Like, I will carry you through that. And I just am so thankful for that, because we're both like really happy people, and we put on, you know, we always like love to host and make people feel so welcome. But I don't want that to mask the fact that this has been a great suffering that the Lord has put on us. But to know so much suffering, we know that and so much more of peace. And so we really rest assured in God's peace and God's strength for us.
I would say overwhelmingly, thank you for saving my life. Everyone that I've talked to has been very clear with me that it was like very close. It was touch and go for several days when I first got to Sanford. But the thing that we really looked at, me and my wife, is like every day we were there, we just wanted to touch somebody. And the amazing thing was that was our goal, but we were touched by so many nurses, so many doctors. Mm-hmm. And the treatment that we had there was overwhelming. It felt like we were like a family. And every time we would have a new nurse, we would be so excited for them to come in the door and just greet them with a smile and just get to know them. It's amazing how many Facebook friends and true friends that we've like gained from this experience. And there were some really hard nights, and on those hard nights, they just picked us up and they told us like everything was going to be all right. And if things weren't going to be all right, they were honest with us. And me as a police officer, I want that honesty, you know, and I want them to be clear that it's going to be a really long road. I'm not going to be, I've asked a couple of times, when can I get back to the PD? When can I be a cop again? When can I help people? And they've looked at me with honesty and said, it's probably going to be a year, you know, until you can get back and you can feel like Andrew Dotas. And you can play with your son and you can be there with your wife. But that honesty has really helped me. And the other thing that's helped me tremendously is like, I'm a self-motivated person and I want to get better. I can't get better fast enough. And they've told me things like walking can really improve the damage that maybe has happened to my lungs and other things. And so I've looked at my wife and it's like, I might not be able to walk very far. I might just be able to walk from my bed to the couch right now. But it's like, I'm going to keep pushing myself. And whether it's from the bed to the couch and then the bed to the car in a couple of weeks, it's like, that's our goal. Mm-hmm. And just to keep pushing ourselves within limit. And that's helped us a lot, as the doctors have been just really, really clear on the things that I can do. And there's some things that are just out of our control. Mm-hmm. And we understand that
It'll take time, you know, to get there.
it's a healing process. But Sanford has been just overwhelming in the relationships that we've had there. The doctors, the first doctor that worked on me has almost become a true friend. He's come into my room several times, and the way him and I look at each other, he's a great man, and I know he saved a lot of people, but I look at him, and it's so amazing to be able to look at somebody else and truly look them in the eye and say, like, you saved my life. And he really has, and he's had a huge impact. And he not only saved my life, but he saved a father, he saved a husband, he saved a son, and I hope he knows that. And I don't think they always get the credit they deserve, but I'm here to tell them they deserve the credit for sure.
I mean, Andrew just said everything so beautifully. I think too, as like, I wasn't the one in the hospital bed, but they still cared so much about me and asked how I was doing, asked if they could get me anything. And it's like, I am A-okay, but just the fact that they cared enough to can include me in those things was wonderful. And everybody took so much extra time to make sure I was well prepared to go home and teach me everything I needed to know. And yeah, they just took so much time with us and made us feel prepared and made us feel confident. And we're very, very grateful for the care that we had at Sanford.
Well, first I want to say to the community, I know the Fargo Police Department has been rock solid for us and has been there, but the community, the little things have had a tremendous impact. We were just out for a walk the other night, and we saw a blue light outside someone's house, and I just looked at her and made a beeline and said, I got to go thank them, because people don't realize how much that really means to me, my wife, and my family, and to the Fargo Police Department. I just had a police officer, one of my best friends, come over here, and he works kind of a night shift, and he brought that up. He said when he's driving around and those people decide to keep their light on and use a little extra electricity, he said it means so much to see all those people that support. So to the community, those little things have had such an impact, and that means a lot. To our Fargo Police Department, we came up here for a reason. I joined this police department for a reason, and that reason is exactly the situation we're in right now. I knew no matter what happened, they would always have my back, and they've proven that like overwhelmingly. When I was at the hospital, there was a police officer outside my door 24/7. And if my wife needed anything, even if she didn't need anything, if she just needed to feel safe, the Fargo Police Department was there. And to add on to that, it wasn't always the Fargo Police. It was this whole metro area that has stepped up and been there for us, myself, Ty, everybody. And they have really been a rock in our life. And everybody has done everything that they can do. And whether it's dropping off a meal, whether it's coming and just hold my hand for a little bit if I'm having a tough day, they've stepped up for me. And I love the fact that the department isn't only just checking on me, the guy who got shot has wounds, but they're checking on my wife nonstop. And the amount of liaisons and people that are calling her and not just saying, what can I do to help, but they're doing it. They're just stepping up and doing it is really overwhelming. So I couldn't imagine being at another police department, and I can't wait to get back to the Fargo Police Department because I don't want to be anywhere else. And I mean that wholeheartedly. Yeah. Well, like I said, I can't wait to get back. The job is not finished for me at the police department. I've had a lot of people come up and say, after such like a traumatic incident, like, are you going to go somewhere else? Are you going to do something different? And I love smiling at them and looking and saying, like, this is what I've always wanted to do. Why would I do anything different? And what I'm really excited for and passionate about within the police department is the fact that before all this happened, I was actually assigned to be a school resource officer, a really new position for me, but it was so exciting for me because I've always told friends and family, anyone that'll listen to me, that kids are someone that I really feel like I can like have a tremendous impact on. You can have like one or two interactions with a kid, and I remember when I was little, that's something you remember for the rest of your life, and can have a true impact on your life. And for the past 6-7 years that I've been a police officer, I've had a lot of interactions with adults, and it's really hard to change like adults' behavior. But when you work with kids, they look up to you so much, and they see a badge and they see a uniform, and they see like a hero a lot of times. And I'm so excited to step into that role and not just be a hero, but be a mentor and be able to see kids through. I've been on a lot of domestic calls, or I've been on a lot of just different incidents where I get to interact with a kid, but just for a split second. And so I'm so excited about this school resource officer position due to the fact that I get to like see that through and see them every day and encourage them. And a lot of kids have very difficult upbringings. And so if I'm the one person that can care about them, I can't wait to care. Yeah, in addition to the SRO position that I am filling in hopefully within the next year, there's also the negotiation position that I earned several months back. It was actually while my wife was gone on military leave, and it was a position that I applied for, and that's very rare in our department because there's so few officers that are assigned to that role. And I'm really looking forward to filling in that role. I've been on a couple call-outs, but I still have a lot of things to learn within that position. But I'm excited. I really find a lot of passion as well in talking with people and working with people in crisis. I'm on the crisis intervention team as well, and working with those people in crisis, that's something that really pushes me as an officer to figure out, hey, how can I help them long term and not just get them through tonight? Let's get them through the struggles that they might have long term. And so I'm really excited for that for the future, to be a part of the team. I'm one of the newest guys, so I can't wait. Every person that I've met on the team has been so good to me and been so gracious.
Yeah.
I'm very new to the team, and I haven't been to the school yet, but I've learned from the guys that I've been around, and the team is really set up in a way to, when we get a call out, we have our tactical side, which are the guys that are so well trained and put a lot of time and effort into their training and being ready. But our goal always in those call outs is to get the person out safely. Yeah, so our job as negotiators is to fulfill that role and to get the suspect or whoever we're talking with out safely. And if that is done, our job has been done successfully. Unfortunately, that's not always the case, and we understand that going into our role, but we're given a lot of tools at our trainings. We do trainings once a month, and we also go to a national training, and we learn a lot of different ways and tactics to work with a suspect. And so it gives us a huge toolbox to really help whoever's in need and in crisis, because we all have bad days. Unfortunately, some people don't know how to interact with that and don't know how to handle that bad day, and that's when we step in and do what we can as police officers to help them.
I had always felt a calling to join the military. Even in high school, it was one of those things that got ignited in me and the flame never went out. And when we found out we were expecting AJ, that was something that I thought that was in that process, it was a dream that I had to give up. And Andrew supported me through every step of the process, and I'm not exaggerating. He was like, I will go do anything, I'll switch shifts, we'll make it work so that this can be a reality for you. And so without his support, first of all, that would have not been, I wouldn't have been able to do it. And so I had left for 4.5 months and got back about a month before this happened. So we were just readjusting to what was then transitioning to a new normal. But this is a big defining moment, pre-accident, pre-incident, post-incident situation where, things are really different now. And I am wearing a lot of hats, and joyfully. I love caring and being so close to Andrew during all of this. But there is a line in the sand where things will be different going forward, and our family will adjust, but we're going to get through it. And I am excited for the day that I get to sit down and tell AJ what a hero his dad is, and maybe without like all the details, but to just know that his dad has done something amazing for the community to protect the city in which we get to raise AJ in, and that's such a blessing, so. Being a law enforcement wife, you have some of these really hard conversations, and we're not shy to that conversation. We talk about it often. If something were to happen, what would be the game plan? And so getting that call was, of course, everyone's worst nightmare, and it sure was like a horrendous day. But I have no doubt in Andrew's ability in law enforcement and his ability to de-escalate, and with such little knowledge that I did have that night, it was like I was so confident that Andrew did everything he could have, and he has the motivation and the drive and the will to push through, and he showed that, that night, and really did everything he could to make it through for us. And so we are just overjoyed that we get another day, and it's one of those things where it's like I was thankful for him before, but I can't even express like how thankful for him now. It's like every day, every minute, every like laugh we get together. It's like I'm just so thankful that he made it. I feel like I have loved like the caretaker role, and growing up, I would always be that for my siblings, and getting to be that for AJ has been so loving. And so I just find a lot of satisfaction in my life when I get to care for other people, and there's nobody I would want to care for more than my husband. And so when you think of such like a tragic incident, that's how I can help him, is to just be there and to be able to wear every single hat, and for me to show a face of compassion no matter what and no matter to who has been really motivating for me. And I think some of those attributes, maybe like some of the leadership qualities, some of the organization and stuff, maybe some of those come from the military, some of that background of like leadership and resiliency and things like that, and knowing that this is how I can help Andrew has been motivating for me to kind of make it through something that it's the worst nightmare I can dream of to have happen to our family, but we just have taken it with such stride, and is, we're working through it, and yeah, I'm doing what I can. We haven't watched the body cam, and we don't plan to for a long time. I don't need to see it. I don't think it would help me. But one thing that doesn't change is that Andrew, he was in the right position, and we are taking this burden so that nobody else has to. And I can speak for myself, like I would do this again. I want this to be us so that it doesn't have to be other people. And we've gotten cards, and we've talked to people that have said they were at the street fair, or their grandkids were at the street fair. And it's one of those things where I truly believe that people are alive today because of what Andrew did, and the place that Andrew stood in so that nobody else had to. And so for that, we find peace in that, and we're grateful to be in this position, as crazy as it sounds, because we wouldn't want it for anyone else. So
I think it needs to be said that my wife and I, through this whole experience, have always just tried to be like a united front. And we've had a lot of like conversations with ourselves. We've had a lot of conversations praying to God and just finding guidance with that. And through all that, we don't need that body cam to answer any of our questions. We truly believe that there's evil in this world. We don't need to see that evil, but what I'll say is there's a lot more good than evil, and we've seen that time and time again. And watching that body cam, I think would fill in some gaps that I might have. However, I don't need those gaps filled in. I know at the Fargo Police Department I've been trained really well, and I know from everything that I've heard from Drew Wrigley, who's come in, he said, hey, you got shot, but you got right back up. And when I heard that, I don't need any more gaps filled in. I just need to know that, hey, I've been trained to do that, and I don't quit. When we hear that, the body cam and hearing the gunshots, I don't think our family needs that right now, and I know it's hard for the community to see that. And we're working through it kind of in our own process, and down the road that might be something that we look at. But right now we're just so hyper focused on healing our hearts, healing our bodies, healing our family, and that's our focus right now in the process.
Yeah. Yeah, we were talking the other night, and it was something that I wondered. I kind of knew the answer, but I had asked, 7 years ago when you were gonna swear in on September 12th, if you knew this was gonna happen, would you still swear in that day, and would you still do everything the same? And his answer was what I thought it was, but it was just amazing to hear that confirmation and to know that he's in the right role, so you can kind of elaborate more on that.
When she asked me that question, it's just so incredible. It didn't take any thinking when it came down to it. We talk a lot about in law enforcement. We are in law enforcement to help people, but I think overwhelmingly it gets forgotten that we're there to protect people too. And that's something that has really stood out to me through this whole incident, is the fact that we got to fill that role. And not every officer gets to fill that role in this sort of situation. And so when she asked me the question, which is an honest question of would we do it again, it's my whole life is how can I help, how can I protect, and this was my way to do it. I would do it again in a heartbeat. If it meant that I saved one person, or even prevented one person from getting shot, or him going to the street fair and hurting anybody, I would do it again in a heartbeat. And I think if you asked any officer, I'm not the only one. I think you'd be profoundly taken back by the amount of officers that would switch places with me in a heartbeat. And that's what makes our department so amazing, but just makes the law enforcement family so much different than what people can put into words.
Yeah.
Just overwhelmingly safe. I didn't know a lot of what happened. I had been put under for kind of an extended period of time, and I just saw her and I saw the tears running down her face, and it was oh, I'm safe now. And it's amazing because as a police officer, we always run into situations and people have that feeling when we run in. Well, she ran into my situation and made me feel incredibly safe and secure. And at that point, I didn't really know what was going on or what had happened. I had a whiteboard and a marker, and I was panicking, writing as much as I could. And I didn't know if I could walk. I didn't know what the details were, but she was just so calm and really, really gave me a sense of peace through such an incredibly difficult time. It was amazing.
The first night, there was a lot of shock. And so I think a lot of emotions were suppressed for me that night. And it was kind of like survival mode in an emotional sense. And then when he woke up, I was in the room, but I wasn't next to his bed. And when our nurse had said, he opened his eyes, he's waking up, it was I couldn't get there fast enough. And it was I just wanted to see him and for him to see me and just know, it's okay, I'm here, you're here, you did it. It was we were talking about earlier, I can't even describe the look on his face, and probably through my tears he could see my smile, but it was that was such a tender moment where we were both we're both still here,
It means a lot. It takes a lot for the community to support, but it's a whole nother step to stand up and raise your hand and say, I'm ready to not only support, but run with the officers that are out there and that are going in to those difficult situations. This incident has been publicized widely, and I want it to be known that officers on a daily basis are going into situations that are unknown, that are they may be overwhelmed with. My wife knows there's many nights in my 6 years career, and officers can attest to this as well, where I've come home and I've just looked up at the ceiling and it's overwhelming. And so to hear that people are coming and our academy class of 10 people, not a single person dropped because of this horrible incident that took place, it's just such a reminder that people are ready to go into that situation, but it's also a reminder for me as a senior officer to just check on those officers, because it is a difficult job, and it's not your 9-to-5 job. It's a job that it takes a lot out of you, but it gives a lot back when you can be in those situations. And so just checking up on those officers and checking up on everyone within the department and having a good support system, both in the department and at home. If I didn't have my support system, I can't even imagine where I'd be right now.
The support in the community that is behind law enforcement and their families has been amazing, and I'm just so grateful to be able to be a part of it. I've felt a lot of peace from that.
I think when I first became a cop, I knew something could always happen. But my something was always, you could be in an officer-involved shooting, or you could maybe be an officer that gets killed in the line of duty. But I never really justified the situation of being injured pretty severely and having to kind of work through that. And so that has been something that I've been able to kind of work through in my head of like, it can happen, I'm here, but I want to use this to help other officers if they're ever in this situation, even if it's minor or serious. Both me and my wife are blessed that we've gone through this situation, and I know it's difficult to understand, but if we can use it to affect somebody, that's important. And so the thing that would change each day would be not any of my training, not any of my tactics. It would just be understanding that each day might be the last day that I get to see my family. And so shooting that, a quick text, a quick phone call, might annoy my wife, but with everything we've been through, and I love you message, might be the last message that she ever sees. And that's what's gonna change, is always reaching out to my family before I get out on the street, because we know from this incident that it could always be our last.
Yeah, when Andrew woke up, one of the first things he was able to write down was, "Where's Ty? Where's my recruit?" He wrote the same question a different way over and over and over, and we were like, before even asking how he's doing, before asking the details, he just was so concerned about Ty, and that speaks volumes to Andrew's character as an officer and as a training officer. You know, his concern was not of himself, it was of, how's my recruit? Where is my recruit? You know, as a training officer, from an outsider, he takes a lot of accountability and a lot of responsibility in making sure that the city has well-trained police officers. And being a part of that connection and that bond, you just can't take away. And so to see the concern for Ty right away was really amazing and selfless and humble.
And the more I hear about the incident that happened on the 14th, the more I realize that I was really worried about Ty, but Ty crawled to me when he got shot. He crawled on his hands and knees to be there with me. And the more you hear about what Ty did, he's a real hero that day, because he made sure I got in the ambulance first. and he knew my injuries were pretty severe, and he said, "You go," and that's what a hero does. And so, yeah, I might check up on Ty because he's my recruit, and I the bond that you have with the recruit, especially in this situation, is something that I can't even put into words. But he cared so much about me too, and he's a 4-month officer, but he sure didn't act like a 4-month officer.
We kept it pretty vague. AJ got a little nervous when he was in the hospital, seeing Andrew just not look like his dad. So I think a lot of the details will come later on. But some of the initial explanation was just that Dad got an owie and that he's sleeping, and early on he was sleeping, and going back to Sanford just being so amazing. It took days to coordinate, but they were able to let us go outside when he was admitted, and to have AJ see Andrew in an environment that is a little more normal, even he was able to just sit outside, made AJ feel so much more comfortable. So we were able to have that interaction. And
well, what I've come to learn through this incident is the Fargo Police Department is a family, and through that family, there's a mentor within the police department, Sergeant Foskey, who has had a tremendous impact both on me and my wife through this. He's going through a lot on his own, a lot. And when I got to sit down with him, the smile, the joy that I saw through him and his wife through such a difficult situation built me up so much, and he doesn't know that. And hopefully I was able to build him up too. And that's what our department's all about, is being able to build each other up, lift each other up in our weakest moments. I learned something from Sergeant Foskey. I've learned so much from him over the years. Sergeant Foskey was the guy you called when you didn't know the answer to something. Before he was a sergeant, we all called him a sergeant because he had the answer. And he was the guy to talk to. And he's been so good to so many officers. And something I've told him is he's touched the entire department in some way, shape, or form. And it's amazing that one person can have such an impact on a culture for a department, but he really, truly has. In our conversation, he mentioned something that really, really resonated with me. And he has the knight on his back shoulder. And he said he's not a tattoo guy at all. He made that very clear, but he sat down and took a minute to explain what that knight means to him. And what it means to him is, and I don't play chess, so he had to kind of explain chess to me a little bit, but he said the knight jumps in front of other pieces and puts itself in front of other pieces to protect those pieces. And the knight loves being in the thick of the battle. And to him, a knight is a police officer, putting themselves in front of the other people, the citizens, the people that maybe don't know what's going on in certain situations, and we put ourselves in front and protect those people, and we do it excitedly, we do it willingly, and that's why we are police officers, and we like to be in the thick of it. When everyone else is running the other way, we're driving with our lights and sirens, ready to jump out of our car as fast as we can. On the July 14th incident, every officer that heard the radio and heard Zach, who's a hero, come on the radio and say that there was officers down, every single officer drove as fast as they could safely to come help. And when Foskey was explaining that chess piece, that's how he was explaining it. How fast can I put myself in front of that danger so people don't have to get hurt? I'm willing to get hurt. My partners are willing to get hurt. But as long as people don't get hurt, that's our number one goal. And when Foskey explained that to me, he's a great man, and it had a lot of meaning behind it, and it had a huge impact on me, and every person that I've told it to, it's had a huge impact on them. So. Yeah, my wife has been an overwhelming rock in my life, and when I say that, I married her for a reason, but through this experience, that reason has been so much more clear. She hasn't left my side. I got shot, and it's been over a month, and she sleeps on the couch right next to me, right in our living room. And no matter what I need, no matter what difficult time I'm having, if I'm having a bad day, she does anything she can to turn it around. And she wears so many hats, and she cares about so many people. And I'll be resting, and she never rests. She's writing thank you notes for people, dropping food off for us. And every person is blown away because she cares so much about every person. She cares so much about me, but she gives 100% to everybody. And I can feel that, and other people can feel that when they're in there. We don't let people leave unless they have food, a bag of food next to them as they're walking out, and she does that. And she's just so amazing. And the mother she is to our son, and the wife that she is to me, I'm so fortunate. And if we can get through this, we can get through absolutely anything. And I can't wait to do life with her. We talk a lot about retirement, and we're real excited to have some grandkids, that's for sure. I love my wife.
We've known each other since high school, so we kind of got to grow up together. And so the bond that we had going into marriage was stronger than normal, probably because we've just gotten to spend so much time together. And I'm just so thankful for every moment I just get to be with Andrew. We were joking the other day, he had to push me out the door basically to just run to Target, because it's I just want to spend every minute here, and I just want to do everything that I can to help him, and I just love him so much that it's easy. It brings me joy to be here and to just sit on the floor, and he sits on his chair, and we don't turn the TV on. We just listen to music, and we just talk, and we just the companionship that this incident has brought us. We've gotten so close, and we've gotten to spend so much quality time together. It's just solidified so much for me how much I love him and how much I just would do anything and forever. It just is so easy, and it's so joyful, and I love it.
So my wife, she does so many amazing things, and one of those things was joining the military. And several months prior to this incident happening, she was gone for about 4 months. And the one thing, it was a very difficult time because I've never been a single dad. She's a stay-at-home mom, and I give her so much credit for what she does, because our son's got a lot of energy and he likes to cruise around. But being a single dad, I realized how much you need to ask for help. And I'm so fortunate for her parents and my parents that they just come help. You ask them, and they can't come quick enough, and the joy that they have to help. And you start to learn in life, you need help in everything that you do. You can't do it alone. And once you learn that and have that support system, it gets a lot easier. But something else that really pulled me through the 4 months with her being gone, because it was difficult, was the fact that she was getting to follow her dreams. We've been together for 7-8 years now. It's been a long time. And she has been there for every one of my dreams. Being a police officer, being in the military, becoming a Raven, every deployment I've gone on, she supported me and said, go follow your dreams. And for me, this was my point where I could just say, go follow your dreams, and I'll take care of everything else. You don't have to worry about a thing, because it's our turn as a family to put mom first and let her follow her dreams. And so I tried really hard to make sure that she didn't feel like she had to worry about us back home, and we had everything covered. But when she got back home, the hugs that she got, were overwhelming, because she followed her dream and she didn't let anything stop her. And it was so amazing to see, and I can't wait for her to tell those stories to our son, because she's a strong mom, and she's a stay-at-home mom, but she wears so many hats. And being a stay-at-home mom, she does it so wonderfully and with poise that I love it. I love every part about it. So back 7 years ago, when I applied for the position with Fargo, they actually came down. I went to Alex Tech, and so they came down for a job fair, and there was an officer that talked to me and was like, hey, just come on a ride along. You'll notice something different. Well, I came on that ride along, and I did notice a difference up here. The community, the department, the culture. And so just immediately I was attracted to the department. But our family is all down in the cities. And so I looked at it as like, I love this department. I'm going to get a couple years in and then get that experience and take it down to the cities. Because I'm close with family. I want to be close with family. Well, what I've learned through this is that department is my family. And it's both of our family. And so it was a little bit of a hard sell with my wife here to move her up to Fargo, North Dakota. But when she's been up here, she loves the community. She loves the area. There's just something very different about this city where everybody, my aunts and uncles that have never been here, they come up here and they say like, man, we like it up here a lot. And I think that's what's really, really kept us in the community and intertwined in the community.
Yep.